It startled you, huh? How's my sound? Got my new microphone today, so let me know how it sounds. Volume is good? I overslept on my nap again, so I didn't have a chance to really play with it ahead of time. So welcome to Work in Progress Wednesday. Working again with mail envelopes. So today I'm going to teach you how to turn this into this. So these are little envelopes. Opens. And then you'll have a tag to decorate on the inside. So I had fun. I made, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 prototypes last night. Just having fun. I'll probably make a whole bunch more because they're actually really cool. Fun, easy to make. So supplies you'll need to do this. Obviously, you need envelopes. With or without the window, it's up to you. One extra step I would suggest if you're doing a window envelope. I try to use windows that are on the left side of the envelope because one of the videos that I saw actually had a really cool idea. And in the spirit of, waste not, want not, nothing is garbage in the junk journal world, she cuts off the little stamp area and uses zigzag scissors and cuts it into like a stamp shape, inks it up. So if your envelope has the window on the right side, obviously you're not going to be able to do that. So just something to keep in mind. And obviously if it was an actual mail, you also have the a canceled stamp that you can use in a future journal, which also you won't be able to do if you use envelopes where the window is on the right side. So I will probably stick to the left side for the most part, with the exception of stamps like this where it just says place stamp here, because that's not really fun. You will also need collage fodder. So I'm still working my way through the big old bag of collage pieces that I created when I was doing the backdrops for my bearded dragon enclosures. I cut up way more pages than I ever thought I needed. And so I will be collaging forever, I think. You also need some kind of a circle punch, unless you're really good at cutting out circles. And that's to make the closure. Some sort of device to make the thumb hole in your envelope. This is big and bulky, but unfortunately it's what I have because I still can't find my 1-inch circle punch. You'll also need ink if you so choose. And a little tiny brad. And you'll also need some sort of hard, stiff cardstock. Glue stick, glue spreader, and scissors. All right. So we put what I don't need, because you can't work on more than one at a time. I'm going to go ahead and do this one since it's a different size than all the ones I did last night. And it's got pre-sorted standard U.S. postage paid Wells Fargo up here in the corner. So, something to keep in mind. So most envelopes have some sort of design on the inside, right? So, wow, that was a really big glare. Sorry. It's, it's got the design on the inside of the envelope. Now, when it's black or it's gray like this one, generally it's not that big of a deal because it blends it, it's a neutral tone. But when you got envelopes that are blue like this, it would be very hard to use in a journal, say, that's purple themed, right? Because the blue is going to look really weird in there. So one of the steps you may want to take first is to cover up that window on the inside in some form or fashion. So when you pull the tag out, you don't see the inside of the envelope. Trying to find so I'm just doing this as an example. I'm going to leave this one blank because it's a very light tone. But and you'd want to do this before you seal your envelope. Trust me on that, because otherwise you're going to put glue on your paper and you're going to be trying to shove it down inside the envelope after it's all sealed up. And trust me, that's a pain. So before you seal your envelope closed, if you're wanting to cover the backdrop of this, you're going to want to glue a piece of paper onto the back of the envelope, but on the inside, just where that window is. All right. So it creates, it covers up the inside of the envelope. You're going to want to glue this down really, really well. Make sure your edges are sealed. I would recommend using a wet glue on your edges rather than a glue stick, because glue sticks tend to wear off, especially on the edges. So you could glue stick down the center and, well, you know what? I'll just do it. I'll just do it. Need my glue book. I'm going to need my glue book down anyway. Oh, and a glue book. Something to glue on so you're not gluing straight on your table. See if I run out of glue stick while I'm doing this too. Nope. Stay down. And then just glue wet glue around the edges. And the reason you're wanting to do that is, again, you're going to be sliding things. Why did my glue got jammed up? You're going to be sliding things in and out, right? And you don't want your tags or whatever you're sliding in there to get stuck. Figure out what's going on here. It's kind of the weirdest thing. I think my school glue that I bought, I think it's got like clumps in it. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, I'm just going to do this for now. Defeats the purpose of having the really nice point on it, but something's got things clogged up in there. So normally you wouldn't have to spread the wet glue, but because I just poured it instead of, I'm going to spread that out a little bit. Let's get this out of my way for a sec. Make sure this is in frame. So again, you're going to stick that into the envelope. You're going to line it up with the window as best you can. And again, it is tricky since now your paper is wet. But with wet glue, you do have a little bit of wiggle room before it dries. Slide mine up just a smidge. Now, if you don't get it lined up just perfect, and people call and don't talk. If you don't get it lined up and you have a little bit showing on the edge, it's not that big of a deal unless you're going to be wanting these to be straight lines. If you look on mine, I do a torn edge around the window. So you can kind of flub that a little bit. Now you can go ahead and seal your envelope closed. Again, you use that hard plastic glue spreader because it helps adhere the paper fibers together. Okay. That stuff in my way. From here, you're going to fold this flap toward the window. This is the flap that's going to fold over. So it's up to you how big you want that to be. You can do a short, shallow window or flap, or you can do a deeper flap. When I was doing them last night, discovered that I liked the deeper flap. Just because it gives you more room to work with as far as like the enclosure. And cutting the flap out on the inside. Just gonna burnish that down. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut a very thin sliver off this end of the envelope to open that up. Cutting straight is not my forte with scissors. And then you're going to cut down this edge and then a little beyond that fold. I'm going to show you why when we get there. So right there's to the fold and then just a little beyond. And that's up to you. You just don't want it to be longer than the fold. Try to get them to be the same distance. Which mine is not. It usually isn't. And you're going to refold that down. So what you're doing here is if you went with the original fold, this is the top where your tag can be. And then you're pulling literally with just fingertips, trying to get your tag out. By cutting a little further down and then folding it, you can put your tag somewhere between this fold and this fold. And it gives you the whole thing to grab onto. So now you got to cut this off. For me, I found that it's easiest to turn it backwards so I can hold this flap out of the way. And then while I've got this in my hand, go ahead and trim that off, stick it over there in my pile. Throw that in the garbage, throw that in my other pile. Again, scraps, 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 scraps. Oh, something else I forgot to do. Hopefully, since I did that in there, the other problem I discovered will resolve itself. So inside the envelope, there's always these little flaps. And you want to make sure that those are glued down really well. So like it's this little flap here and on this end. You want to make sure those are glued down really well. Otherwise, you slide your tag in and it gets caught. So I discovered that when I was making tags this morning. I was like, ooh, I got to remember to mention that. And I forgot to mention it. And I forgot to check. Forgot to do it. All right. Now comes the collage part. Now, collaging is totally an individualized thing. Like people, the aesthetic is different for everybody. What they like, how they like it. Some people like to do big bulk pieces and then do, fill in with little spots. Some people like to do itty bitty little pieces. It just kind of depends on the individual. Ideally, with this particular project, I would probably prefer to have had some big chunkier pieces for like here and across here rather than piecing together all the little stuff. But again, in the vein of trying to use what I have instead of creating more, I'm using what I have. And what I have is already cut up collage fodder. Oh, see, and then I put the lid back on my glue. I kind of need that. So I do have some semi-big pieces here. So let's kind of start with that. And what you're wanting here is a mix of colors, textures, fonts, solid pieces, different colors, different textures. Again, just kind of mixing things up so that it doesn't all blend together. Another decision you need to make is whether or not this is going to be a removable, in which case you would not need to worry about collaging the back, and you would also need to figure out a different way to do the enclosure, the closure, not the enclosure, or have it as a glue-in piece where you would do all of this, you'd do the flap, the inside and this part, but you would just glue it into the book so it doesn't stay or doesn't remove. And which, like I said, in which case you'd have to do a second buttonhole and figure out, how you want to do that. Because obviously you can't put one right here in front of the window because that plastic isn't going to hold the button in. So I was thinking about that last night. It might be kind of cool to do one, kitty corner and then So maybe I'll try that. I'll have to grab out another brad. Yeah, there should be enough room to do that. Okay. I will do that. Which saves me from having to collage the back. So again, I love the torn edges. So straight edges tend to get torn away. Just for, if you were doing the back, this is a trick. Instead of cutting that edge off from here, instead of cutting it off, just flip it around to the back, because then your edges start becoming collaged all by them, automatically on the back. Because I don't want to make more scrap for myself, I'm going to fold over what edges I do get. But not because I'm collaging the back. That's the same one. Let's see. Need something dark. I'm just going to have to keep reminding myself that I'm not collaging the back. I have an itchy hand today. I don't know what the deal is with that. I'm not worried about the straight edge here, because I still got over here to collage, so I'll be able to break up that that straight edge. And again, I'm just folding that under. I'll be notching that out anyway. So. I want that a little bit more jaggedy. There we go. That's primarily for structure. This is on a right where your pocket ends and begins. So you definitely want to make sure that you're not using a brittle paper here. And reinforce that as if at all possible, which I'm going to do just with a little piece of, a little extra piece of brown paper. Just to reinforce that opening. So hopefully it doesn't tear on me. Okay, something to go there. What do you think? Should I do a solid? How about, where's my music page? Don't have to get things straight, but you know, my OCD says I do. The OCD says otherwise. Oh. Okay. I was having a dilemma because this has this nice edge on it, and I didn't want to throw it away, but I also don't want the black line running through the back. So. Or across the front. This is relatively strong paper already. It is copy paper that's been coffee dyed. So hopefully it holds its structure on its own. Let's see. Let's go this side. Move that over a little bit. The other part about collaging is you want to try to avoid having straight lines like this part right here, where things are lined up. Just because it detracts from the eye, from the overall aesthetic of it. Distracts the eye, I guess, is a better way to put that. Is that different enough? Yeah. So just to kind of break up that little area there. I'm going to tear just a little tiny piece. And we'll glue it over all the corners. See? Oh, my picture quality sucks right now. It is blurry as all get out. Is it blurry like that on your end, sis? Ugh, I didn't feel like any glue got on there. See, and without even moving, it's re-blurring. It got itself clear. And then it blurs back out. Frustrating. Long piece of music sheet. How about sheet music? Now this one I will be cutting off rather than folding over because it is a a pretty brittle paper, and so it tends to crack rather than rather than fold. Be careful you don't cut your envelope. Done that more times than I can count. I can save that for later. It's got a torn edge and a flat edge, so it can go on a, actually wouldn't just do it right now. Add a little bit more glue on there. And we'll just put it on this top edge up here. Snip. And snip. The benefits to not doing the back for you guys is that this is going to go a lot quicker. Which, considering apparently my camera doesn't want to focus, it's probably not a bad thing. And again, this paper is very brittle. It was an old book, so trim it. Contemplating purchasing a webcam so I don't have to deal with that issue. I got to cover this. This, I would say, is probably the hardest and most frustrating part about doing this project is getting something inside the envelope, because you got to put glue on it first, and so you're having to deal with that. Because again, I'll be cutting a notch out of here, so you can't just go like this. You want your paper to slide in there a little bit. Let's trim that little nubby there. But you can't get your glue in there, so you have to like put glue on it first. And you'll see me struggle with that. See, now I'm focused. See how long until it blurs itself back out. So what I do is I fold it open, and then I fold this as best I can up against, with the glue on my fingers, fold it up against the front of the envelope. Try to get it in place without pulling it back out, because again, remember, it's glued to your fingers. I'll try to get it straight, and then you're going to glue that down. Okay, now you just have that little strip there to get that music notes up there already. It's funny looking back at some of the fodder here. I got books. I bought them off of Marketplace, and I bought them in bulk. So obviously there's, you don't get to pick and choose which books you get, right? And so some of them, I've mentioned before that I got a a passion party book, which I've had to be careful about in using the book pages and things, because the wording is obviously inappropriate. But I got books about war. I got the biography of Phil Donahue and a legal book, like a legal dictionary. And it's this old caramel paper as well. Really fragile. Kickback. So yeah, the one about war, I have to watch pretty closely because it's got wording in it that, I mean, even in the 70s was pretty offensive in my opinion. But definitely, now, how people were referred to. Oh, and you do have to do this back flap. See, I need to, let's see. I don't like how that created a line there. Shoes that needed a shine. I'm going to wrap that around to the back. So this is what I was talking about, that when you wrap around, you're automatically collaging the back of your piece. So when you're doing like a collage masterboard, keep that in mind. Trust me, it'll save you a lot of time. Again, just kind of breaking up that join there. Flip that over, finish the flappy here. Now this is the fold of your flap, so you're going to want to go a little beyond it so your paper's not right on the edge, but you also want to be very careful that you're covering it with paper that's going to withstand being folded. So again, you don't want to put your brittle papers on that fold. Which is hard because my dark papers like this are my favorite, but they are the most brittle. Because they have that, and they have the natural aging So it's got that caramel color to them, and that's what makes them my favorite. I'm going to kind of extend this up. Give some structure here. That's brown packing paper. And my husband brought home from his work. Yes, I have him trained. Let's see, where is this? I'm going to put something else there first. And then I'll put some more book page. Book page. Music page. All right. Now, when you're collaging and tearing, you end up with all these tiny little pieces. It is up to you whether you save these. I know some creators do. I'm not that pressed for paper at this point, so I don't save them. And retrain your fold here. Here's my folder here, my bone folder. Oh, got a loosey goosey there. It happens. So rather than trying to get my glue stick in there, just run some wet glue. Okay. Here's where you're going to punch your hole. This is why I say this is awkward. You can't really get that up in there very well. So you have to go this way, but then you can't really see what you're doing. You want to try to center it as much as possible. And this is why having my 1 inch hole punch would be so much more convenient. Maybe sometime in 2023, I'll be able to find it. So you're just punching out a little notch, trying to center it as best you can, regardless of what tool you're using. I'm going to set that over there out of my way because I don't need it anymore. And then in comes your ink. ink up your edge here. Where is my... around my edges here. Woo. It says, hello, I'm not dry yet. What are you doing? Let's trim that off. Now here again, inking is a personal decision. I didn't ink any of the other ones that I made last night. I'll probably go back and do that today. Inking serves two purposes. It gives it kind of an aged, weathered look. If my camera can focus. There we go. Let's go off screen for a minute. Let it focus in. Oh, I don't need to ink the back. I do need to ink. My flap. Set my ink aside for now. All right, so this part is done. Burnish my edge. All right. Now, making the little buttons. This is where that cardstock comes in. With your hole punch, I would say go 3/4 or 5/8 because it creates a nice little button. You're going to use some sort of cardstock. What I did was I took paper out of here that I didn't like. In fact, it must be the only... I guess I shouldn't say that. Not necessarily that I didn't like, but one that I know I wouldn't use. I know there was more than one. I used this one. What you're going to do is you're going to punch holes out, and you're going to glue 2 of them together and then cover them with book page. So gluing each, glue, 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 and then punch a hole in the center. Made a bunch of those last night, so I already have my 2 buttons. So again, you'll have that hole in the center, right? For your brad to go through. Now you're going to make your holes on here. So not only is this my glue book, but this is also my my punch board for when I can't use my other tool. So this envelope is 4 1/16. So I'm trying to find the center as much as... No, 4 1/8. So 2 1/16 would be the center, which my pencil is lost on my desk somewhere. So I'll just grab one of my water pencils. Let's see, I don't want to go quite that low. And what I usually do is where I put my hole is I find the hole. I find the dot with the hole of my button. and decide whether I want it higher, lower, or whatnot, which I do want it up just a little bit higher than where I drew my dot. All right. Whew. You're going to stick this tiny little brad through the center of this button. Grab your ink. Let me turn that over. Maybe hopefully it'll refocus. It's trying. So you can see a little bit there what the inking does. It gives it some distinction where your pocket is, and kind of weathers the edges a little bit. Now it also serves as a purpose that it covers up any white that might be showing through from the envelope. So it's a double win. Now for this, since I'm not putting it in, I'm going to make it as a permanent. To figure out where I'm going to put my other button. See, because I can't go right here because then I'm sticking it into that plastic and it's not, that wouldn't hold it to do a regular policy. So I'm going to go off to the side a little bit. And I'm not worried about punching through. Because I'm punching through the back, obviously. Because again, it's going to be glued down. Who cares if there's a hole in the back? I got to reach through because I wasn't planning this. I didn't plan this. Hopefully I have another copper brad in there. Yep. And so I have silver ones, gold ones, which on the prototypes that I made last night, silver and gold doesn't really go with my aesthetic. So grab my good old permanent marker and I colored them in. That's a little tricky. Now, because you now have these little brad legs on the inside, you're going to want to cover them. Otherwise, it's going to snag. So again, just kind of like when you did with that. Let's see if I can get my glue to work. My wet glue. Nope. I don't like when I have to open it because my bottle leaks really bad. Like right after I fill it. So when I have to reopen it, it makes the leak come back. Okay, I don't know what the deal is. Oh, there was something. Something came out. Don't know what that was. Almost looks like a bug. came out of my bottle. Yuck. It's not what was clogging it, though. Glue's still not coming out. Now, this doesn't matter what paper you use. You just want it to have some structure. And you want it to really stick because, again, you don't want a snag factor. I'm also trying to be careful about not sliding it over in front of my window. Okay. Glue pages out of the way. Set that aside. Grab my paper trimmer. This is when things get crazy because all the supplies that I'm done with are still all in my way. They're all over the place. So I know that envelope is 3 7/8. Well, for the tag, was 3 7/8 wide. That's pretty standard for your bigger envelopes. I saved these cutoffs. See, I was going to shoot some glue down in there, but I can't because my glue's clogged. Pretty standard width on most of the envelopes that you get in the mail. Slide that down in there. And that's only so that I can figure out where the fold is and where I'm going to cut. So I'm going to cut right at one of the original score lines of the manila folder. Oh, I guess I should explain what that is, huh? Manila folder, and I just covered it with coffee dyed paper. You can see where I missed on my glue when I was my streaks of glue where I missed that little air bubbles in it. And I am leaving the envelopes undecorated as well as the tags. Again, it's about making bases so that you're not tied into a theme. If I decorated this in a specific color or with certain decorations, I'm kind of bound to that decoration as to what journal I can go in. But if you just make neutral bases of things, you can just decorate them when it comes time for the journal. This is what I was talking about earlier. If you don't cut this down further, then the front of your envelope is all the way up here at your flap, where your flap folds. Whereas if you cut it down more, you've got where the flap folds is here. In the middle is the top of your tag. So you have the whole tag versus just that tiny little thumb section to grab from. If that makes sense. The last step to this is string. On your flap, you're going to tuck it under your little button that you made. You're going to tie your string on. You're tying it around the base of the brad, around the legs of the brad. So you're going to slide that knot underneath that button. You do a standard square knot, right over left, left over right. And then I always do one more for good measure. scissors that can fit underneath that little button. Cut off the tail. There you go. Figure 8 style. Boom, boom, boom. And then cut. Move my hands out of the way and see if maybe it will focus in. Come on, nothing's moving. That's so frustrating. Oh, I thought maybe I'd turn the light off and see if it was reflection that was causing problems, but no, it's not the light. So there's the collage envelope. Did a figure 8. And since I didn't collage the back, let's see. Ta-da. So on here, you just glue it down like this. And then it's in your book, and all you do is unfigure 8 it, pop it open, pull your tag out. Ta-da. So just one more way to use up the copious amount of envelopes that come in your mail. And it totally just whoop, and then focused in. I don't understand. I don't understand. Anyway, so now I have 10. I have 9, right? That's what I counted in the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have 9 that are clip-ins because the string goes around the back. So obviously you can't glue that in because then you won't be able to open up your envelope. You do get to choose whether you want to go down and around. Which I kind of like that better because it looks like it holds the flap a little better. Or over the top first. It's kind of individual choice. But anyway, so I have 9 that clip in, and I now have one that glues in. So I will be making more of these off camera. I'll see, and I'm sure it's not going to focus. This is an example of what happens when you put brittle paper on the fold. You can see the paper broke. But I'll be able to cover that up with ink for the most part. I almost got some glue out of there. And obviously I have to work on my glue bottle. And it's leaking because I took the lid off. Now it's, the seal has been broken and now it's going to leak everywhere. That's all right. About down here where the glue didn't adhere. I'll let that glue dry, and then I'll go back and ink everybody up. All right, guys. Well, that's it for today. Feel free to leave any questions in the comments or comments in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button. Keep me in that algorithm, whatever that algorithm is. And I will hopefully see some of you guys tomorrow for Thready Thursday when I get back to working on my cross stitch. I haven't touched that in a long time. So getting back into the groove of things. It's taking a bit, but I'm getting there. So take care and be well today. Find something good and positive to do with your time. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.